Thanks so much, Riaz. Yes, I'm here with Cameron Cathcart. You are the chair of the Vancouver Remembrance Day Committee, correct?
That's right.
And right now we're here at the Cenotaph at Victory Square, and there are already wreaths laid out here. Tell us about these ones here right now.
Well, these are laid by the Aboriginal folks. First Nations like to have their remembrance commemoration usually on the 8th of November, and that took place on Saturday. And it's a beautiful display. And this is sort of sets the scene, shall we say, for tomorrow's big commemoration.
And I like that you brought that up. Tell us about some of the ceremonies that will be happening down here for Remembrance Day.
Well, typically we start at 9:45 with the Bach Youth Choir, entertaining everybody with some marvelous music from the old days. And then at 10 o'clock, the parade marches in and begins to form up just in front of the cenotaph. And then after that, at about 10:30, that's when we start the formal ceremony itself.
And we're watching footage from last year. Tell us, will there be any differences, subtle changes this year?
There will be a slight difference, particularly before 11 o'clock. We're going to have the combined bands of the Vancouver Fire and Rescue Service and the Seaforth Highlanders of Canada doing a combined version of a tune called Sands of Kuwait.
Wow.
It's a very evocative piece, and I think the people will really engage with that.
And we are talking, of course, about what's happening in Vancouver here, but there are things happening in all the municipalities and cities, so people can check out their city's website, but it just gives you an idea of how much is happening in each community to remember Canada's armed forces.
It's a very, very big day. It always has been in Canada, but you know, I think it's getting more and more so as time goes on, and particularly in view of recent events in Ottawa and in Quebec, people are suddenly saying to themselves, wait a minute, this happened on our soil. We better get down there and show our respect and show our unity.
We're at the Cenotaph here at Victory Square, and I'm talking with a very special gentleman, Lieutenant Colonel Harjit Sajjan. And you, sir, have done 3 deployments in Afghanistan. Tell us about how you took that experience overseas and bring that back home to teach young people about what Canada's armed forces do.
Well, I actually spoke at 3 different schools just last week, and getting that message across, telling them, a long time ago I was sitting in those chairs and I had a lot of respect for our veterans, but remembrance is almost an evolution as well, and my experience in Afghanistan was an evolution of what we see as what our veterans went through during the World War I and up until the Korean conflict there.
As a Sikh member of the community, you brought something very special to the people of Afghanistan. Tell me about how that worked in terms of, because you typically do not represent a Canadian soldier in their eyes, or someone serving in Canada's armed forces. So tell us about how you brought that uniqueness to your experience there.
Well, essentially what we did in the Canadian Armed Forces, we operationalized diversity.
Yeah.
And our diversity, the visual aspect of serving in another nation when you're so multicultural, it shows that we're very, very inclusive. And Afghans have a greater sense of connection with our Canadian soldiers. And our Canadian soldiers did phenomenal work in being able to connect with the villagers and the elders in those areas, and didn't have to go through a long process of building rapport.
Why do you think it is so special and so important, like things that are happening down here at the Cenotaph tomorrow, in terms of remembering not only those who have fallen, but those who continue to serve, men and women in Canada? Why is that so important to you?
What is, look at the recent events in Ottawa and in Quebec, what happened there. I think it's very poignant to remind us that our current servicemen and women who actually serve are in danger all the time. And then when you sign up, it's an unlimited liability that you sign up for. And those two, the events that happened there is a reminder of that. So it just makes this Remembrance Day even more poignant.
And you talked earlier about how remembering is something that you should do every day, and really we make New Year's resolutions, but maybe there should be a Remembrance Day resolution.
Oh, absolutely. The best way to honor our fallen is to live our life to the fullest.
Yeah.
And we make New Year's resolutions. What we should be doing is making Remembrance Day resolutions so that we do something different, do something new, do something more challenging, and that's the best way to honor our fallen.
All right, beautifully said. Thanks very much. We're at the Cenotaph at Victory Square, and Cameron, you are the chair of the Vancouver Remembrance Day Committee.
Right.
And tell us about the big anniversaries happening this year, first off.
Well, first of all, this is the 100th anniversary of the beginning of World War I.
Incredible.
Yeah, 1914. The other thing is that this cenotaph is 90 years old this year.
Wow.
Yeah, it was dedicated in April of 1924.
Yeah.
And so it's significant for Vancouver. And Remembrance Day ceremonies have been held here ever since, every year for the last 90 years.
And there's also the 75th anniversary of, you were mentioning another
The invasion of Normandy.
That's right, yeah.
And this was the beginning of the liberation of Europe by the Allies, and very significant.
And a lot of events happening here at the Cenotaph as well, but also at Jack Pool Plaza.
That's correct. Now, the cauldron ceremony, we call it generation to generation. This is where an older veteran hands over the Canadian flag to a younger veteran.
Wow.
And when he does that, the cauldron bursts into flame, and it remains lit until 11 o'clock.
Yeah. We're expecting big crowds down here, right?
Yes, very, very large crowds. And there are two reasons for this, I believe. One is the recent events in the Eastern Canada, Ottawa and Quebec. And I think people are very concerned about that. And I think there's an emotional thing there, and they want to engage. The other thing, I think, is the weather.
Yeah.
So we're going to have huge crowds here. If it's going to be a day like today, which I expect it will be, dress warmly, though.
And I just want to end on a frank note. I've had a very privileged life. I've never had to defend my country or fight in a war. I never will have to. What is the importance of my generation and my children's generation about coming down to the Cenotaph or anywhere in my community, wherever it may be, and remembering all those in the Canadian Armed Forces?
Get involved, I think, is one of the first things you have to do within your community. It's not an overnight thing. It's an evolving feeling that you must have. But you know, I think one of the things that perhaps young people should do, if they can, is to go to Europe and see all the Commonwealth war graves, cemeteries. And then all of a sudden you begin to feel, yes, there are enormous sacrifices took place here, and that's why we're free today. As the saying goes, freedom is not free.
Well said. Thanks a lot, Cameron. Really enjoyed talking to you today.
Nice talking to you.
All right, Vancouver.ca has all the details on the Remembrance Day observances and the ceremonies happening. And you can also check out your city's website because there are things happening all over the Lower Mainland.